Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Crafty. Today you are going to be crafting with Crystal Ann. I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much to Michael for inviting me over to Crafty. Today I'm hoping to bring something new and fun to the table, something a little bit different. So if you guys are familiar with Crystal Ann, you guys know that I love to sublimate. So today we are going to be sublimating on cotton, and then we are going to be bleaching it. So we're going to make a really fun Halloween t-shirt. So let's go ahead and go over the supplies that I'm using today, and then we'll jump over to crafty.net so I can show you guys where I got my files from and then how I printed these out. So quickly going over supplies, I've already printed out my designs and I'm using these fun ones right here. So I'm using this one that says just a little baddie. So I've got this design here and I did it nice and big. So these are 11 by 17. So I actually printed these off with my Sawgrass SG-1000. But you can definitely still pull this off with your SG-500 or even an Epson that can only go up to the 8.5 by 14. So you can still do the same project, but I try to print it out a little bit more chunky. So I've also printed out 2 sheets for my sleeves. So what I'm going to be doing is cutting these down, and we're actually going to be adding these bats onto one sleeve and then maybe a few down below on the bottom of the t-shirt. So I've already printed all of these out. My favorite sublimation paper is True Pix Classic, and we have all of those supplies down below. A few other things that I do have is we have some parchment paper here. We have a Cricut pad. We're going to be using the bigger Cricut Easy Press today. This is the 10 by 12, and we have it at 385 for 40 seconds. And then I'm going to be using this is a 50-50 blend. So what's really cool about this is it's 50% cotton and 50% polyester. So we're going to be allowed to sublimate on it. So we're still going to get some of that color in there, but then we're also going to bleach it just to make it more fun. Now, whenever you go to get these t-shirts, the ones that I recommend are the Gildan Soft Style in the Heather. So whenever you choose these, make sure you're choosing those heathered colors to get that perfect bleach. If you're ever struggling with those, make sure it's a heathered, and I promise you're going to be golden. So I've got a really fun purple one here. So the really cool thing about this is when you pair designs with the same color shirt like this and we bleach it out and get the whites, it's going to pop absolutely amazing. It'll be so much fun. So there's that. And then the fun pieces are we've got some bleach. So we're going to be using bleach. You want to grab a bleach. You could be an off-brand as well, but just make sure it's not anything special. It's just straight bleach, and we're not going to be diluting it. Now, my favorite paintbrushes, because you're going to need a paintbrush and then just a cup. You can use the little solo cups if you wanted to. I just cannot find it. I have it designated for these bleach videos, but it's those red painter cups that have the handle. I love it because it has a magnet for my paintbrush. I just couldn't find it today, and I usually rinse those and keep them separate. So if you have a coffee mug, just make sure you wash it really, really well if you're going to be using it again. But if you're going to keep it designated, you can always keep it with those supplies. So I've got a coffee cup here, but back to that paintbrush. This is one of my favorite paintbrushes here. You could find these locally. I'll try to link one down below that's like this. It's those super, super cheap ones with those really cheap bristles, but I have found it works perfectly for this project. So a paintbrush here. And then I'm using a trash bag. So what I like to use in between mine, so that way I don't bleach the back of the t-shirt, it just doesn't saturate through. I could flip it over and do what I want to and keep those splatters or whatever. I just use a trash bag because you can use it over and over again. And then I have a hanger that I'm actually going to put in between two, so I can take this outside in the sun and let the sun do its work, because the sun is the magic. So if you've ever tried to make one of these t-shirts before, or you're going to, I highly recommend that you do it on a nice sunny day, because when you do this, and you really want to do it outside, but today we're teaching in the craft room, so I'm doing it in here, but you could take and place these out on your grass and do it out there as well. And so that sun is the magic. So the sun, it could do it in like 5 minutes. So that sun will start to change it, and then you're going to get it in the wash. So you need a little bit of sun. And then I've just got a few basics here. I've got a ruler and a pair of scissors. So I think I've went over all of my supplies here. So let's go ahead and jump over to crafty.net. All right, so now that we're over here on crafty.net, this is the first landing page that you're gonna come to. Now, if you guys are not a Crafty member, you guys are missing out. It is awesome because you're gonna pay one flat monthly payment, and then you have access to everything on the site. So it's super, super amazing. I love the way that they have designed there. So let me show you how easy easy it is to use. So say for example, I am looking for stuff for Halloween. So I can come up here, see where it says search all products. We could just come right here and I'm gonna start to type out Halloween. And I'm even gonna put PNG, but the really cool thing I'm gonna show you is with each file, let's go ahead and go through here. Look how cute these are. They're so adorable. Love, love, love these. So all of these super cute ones right here. I'm gonna go ahead and go over to the next page and then you can see it right here. So you can see there's a lot of really cute ones to choose from, but I actually am working with this one right here. Now, the really cool thing I also love about Crafty is you can come right here on this side where it says zip. You're going to do the arrow down and you're going to say exactly what you're going to be downloading. So I can tell it I want to do the PNG version of this, and then I'm simply going to hit download and it's sending it straight to my computer. That easy, y'all. So I didn't have to add it to the cart and all of those things. And now you can see, boom, it's on my computer. It's ready to go. So what I've already done here is I've actually even saved it to my desktop. So that way all I've got to do, if you guys have a Sawgrass printer, you should have a file on your desktop that looks like this that says Sawgrass Smart Folder. And what you can do is just grab that file, drag and drop it into that folder, and it's going to automatically open the Sawgrass Print Manager. It is that easy. Then from here, I'm going to choose what surface or substrate. I'm going to tell it that we're using polyester. I'm going to tell it what paper. I always have that already set, so you may need to change your substrate. And then if I, for example, need to change the size that I'm printing, so for example, right now it's set for an 8.5 by 11, I could come to my layout. I could go to Print Manager Performs. I can change it to the 11 by 17. Then I can come to jobs right over here, and then I can tell it, okay, I'm wanting to do about 10.5 wide. It's gonna adjust it, and now we're ready to print. That easy. Now, let's go back and grab our next file. All right, so now that we're back over here on Crafty, let's go back and look for the bats. So I'm gonna go ahead and type in bats pattern. We're gonna hit enter. So there it is. So right here, I'm gonna use this one. You can see there's a few different ones to choose from. I'm gonna choose this one right here, and then we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing. I'm just gonna go ahead and hit download, and it's gonna send it straight over to the computer. We're ready to work again. So the same thing, you can see I still have my Sawgrass Print Manager open. I haven't hit print yet. I'm gonna grab my next file right here. I'm gonna drop it into that same folder. And then I'm gonna go ahead and the material's already chosen for us. So we're working with the same ones. And I could do the same thing. So if I need to go into each job, so if you go to jobs, we could go to each project. So this one right here, I could click on it, make sure it's that darker gray, and then we can change those sizes. So if I need to change anything with my bats, I could do the same thing. You're just going to click on it and change that size. So I'm going to tell it that we are working with about, we'll do 10.5. Well, we'll do 10.6 is what I actually did. I'm going to hit enter, and now you can see that is also on that sheet for the 10.6. So now we can see both of our projects. And so if I go ahead and hit print, it's going to print out all of my pieces. Now for me, I did print out 2 pages of the bats. So right down here, you could come to copies and we can go ahead and change that to 2. So now it's gonna print out 3 pieces, 2 pages of bats, and then 1 for that main design. That easy, y'all. We went over, I swear that was less than 5 minutes. We went to crafty.net, we grabbed our files, we brought them to the computer and sent them to our printer already. That easy. All right, so let's go ahead and get crafty. All right, so first up, we're gonna go ahead and take that t-shirt and we're going to line it up here on our Cricut pad, just like that. And then you wanna go ahead and just do as usual and pull out any sort of moisture in the area that you're gonna be working with. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. All right, so next up, we're gonna go ahead and take that lint roller just as usual. Go ahead and lint roll that. And then we're gonna go ahead and trim this down. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my pair of scissors. You could use your paper trimmer, and we are going to trim this down just so I can see where we are lining this up at and where I need to press. So we're going to have to, since this is a bigger design, I'm gonna press it in 2 different presses. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this out of our way. Now, if you are using a bigger heat press, like a 15 by 15, you would be perfect to go. All right, so to find that center, what we're gonna do is just fold this in half and get that crease mark. So now I know that perfect placement. So we're gonna go ahead and figure out where we want this to be. You wanna go around 3 to 4 fingers down on your t-shirt. So something probably about like this looks good to me. And then we're gonna go ahead and tape it down. All right, so now that we have our design down, I'm gonna go ahead and lay my parchment paper, whether it takes 1 or 2 sheets, we're gonna go ahead and get that down. I'm gonna get the top half of my design and then the lower half. And so what we're doing is 385 for 40 seconds. So I'm gonna go ahead and get up here at the top here, and we're gonna hit go. So I've just put that parchment paper in between to protect our heat press. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna scoot it down, and I'm gonna cover that bottom half. So we're gonna press it again, 385 for 40 seconds. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and lift that up, get that out of our way, and then we're gonna go ahead and peel. There you have it. Now, just like this in its own, it looks really, really good. And you might notice, I don't know if you guys are picking it up on camera or not, when you sublimate, it looks like steam coming off of there, and that is the gases. That's the process of sublimation. So like I said, even just having it like this, it looks awesome. All right, so we're moving along to our sleeve. So you can actually take your parchment, which you can use your scrap piece, all right? And we can use it as a template. So what we can do here is go ahead and do this. I'm gonna do a little bit over, just like if you were sewing and you would have yourself like a seam allowance, we're gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. It's a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. And then I'm gonna go ahead. One thing you can do too is I can go ahead and use my fingernail just to figure out where that is connected to the shirt. And then we're just gonna go ahead and trim around. So this is just gonna give us basically a guide on how to cut this down. Now you can just do a basic cut if you wanted to as well. You don't have to do anything too crazy. So you see that there? And I'm gonna go ahead and clean everything up just a tiny bit. All right, there we have it. So I wanna be careful because I did almost get off a little bit. So I'm gonna leave everything else. And so what we're gonna do when I go to cut this, I'm gonna trim down my excess really fast, at least on one side, just so I can visually see. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and get my other side as well because I just have to. So what we're gonna do is, since we are going to be putting it in this direction, I'm gonna flip it over when I cut. So now what I wanna do is I wanna line these 2 sheets up like this and then cut it out. Now, once again, you may wanna give yourself, minus this piece here, these pieces, you may wanna give yourself that little bit of wiggle room. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. Now, when it comes to the rounded part, like I said, the part that connects to the t-shirt, we definitely want to make sure that is perfect. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get a piece of parchment underneath. So we're going to scoot our t-shirt over just a little bit more. I'm going to make sure and get my piece of parchment underneath just like this. All right. You're going to make sure your sleeve is nice and flat. What I like to do is this, and then I'll go over it with my heat press just like this, just to smooth everything out. So what that's gonna do is not only just smooth everything out for us, it's gonna pull out that moisture and all of those things. So the next thing, you may wanna lint roll, but with this t-shirt, you can honestly skip it because we are bleaching. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and get this right up here. And also when you do this, you see how my bats are face up? Make sure you pay attention to that when you go to trim down. So everything looks pretty good right about here. So at this point, I'm actually gonna tape this down to my parchment paper just to help hold that in place, just like that, all right? And then we're gonna cover it with a new piece of parchment paper, and then we are gonna press again. So once again, 385 for 40 seconds. All right, so here we go. We're gonna go ahead and lift that up, get that out of our way, and this is where the fun happens, right? So what we're gonna go ahead and do is peel. How stinking cute is this? I'm gonna bring it up so you guys can see it a little bit better. So far we have our design going on, and then our sleeves have this really fun pattern. So now, how do we get it on the other side? What we're gonna do is we're gonna flip it over, and then we're gonna go ahead and get this. And you wanna make sure, I see a little bit of stuff going on there, so I'm actually gonna get a new piece of parchment paper underneath. And then what I'm going to do is, the one that we actually already cut down, I'm gonna go ahead and double check it. If I need to add anything to it, I could do so. I think everything looks good. I may add just a little bit down here at the bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and trim off just a little bit of this excess here that I can see going on. All right, double check it again. So I know that I just need to make sure I have a little bit extra here. So now we're gonna do the same thing with this one. All right, so we're gonna cover it with that parchment. We're gonna press one more time, 385 for 40 seconds. All right, so here we go. Boom. We're gonna go ahead and get that out of the way, move this over and peel. I get so excited with the reveals every single time. It's just so much fun. And there you have it, so cool, right? So now, not only do we have the front here, we also have the back side. Now you can do both sleeves if you want to, or you can make it extra fun and just do one. So I'm gonna do one. And so what I'm gonna show you now is to do the opposite side down here at the bottom. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these extra pieces here and this bottom corner, and we are going to play around with these. So what you can actually do is you can actually individualize some of these pieces if you want to, or you can make it extra fun and kind of tear it. So I'm going to just kind of tear it just like this. And that way I can have something coming from the bottom, kind of like this. But what I want to do is I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to very carefully tear this side, because I want these to do is kind of come from the side like this. So I've just kind of created something just as simple as this. So we're going to go ahead and tape that down. All right. But you could print out a brand new one if you wanted to, and you could tear it to where it was a little bit bigger coming out of here. And another thing that you can actually do with these files is you could go ahead and remove a few of these and enlarge those bats, so that way you have some bigger bats coming up. But once again, you can individualize those bats so they could be coming out of the t-shirt like this. So let's go ahead and start here and just see what we get. So we're gonna go ahead and come on top here, and I'm just gonna do it one last time, 385 for 40 seconds. All right, so here we go, a moment of truth. We'll see how this one turned out. Get this out of our way, and then here you have it. How cute. I love it. It just gives it that extra little zing, if you will. So hopefully you guys can kind of see this down here at the bottom now, just like that. So we've got our design, we have the bottom, and then we have that sleeve. So cute. But I would also like to bring that up just a little bit bigger maybe. So like I said, maybe even printing it on its own. But you could definitely do the 8.5 by 11. So don't feel like you can't pull this off with yours. You can still pull this off with the smaller printers. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna get ready to bleach it. All right, so now it's time to take our trash bag. So you're just gonna take a little trash bag like this. Doesn't matter the brand or the kind. We're gonna take a hanger here too. We're gonna get that hanger in the middle like this. Let's get us a hole. All right. You could use cardboard. There's all sorts of hacks. Now the reason why I'm doing the hanger is so when I'm done, I can go hang it outside on a tree or something like that, or even pick it up to carry it outside, just to keep everything separate. Now, if you're gonna do this outside, you really don't have to do that. You're gonna get this in there, put it on the grass, and you can definitely let it do its magic. And then you can also use cardboard. So you know those cardboard t-shirt inserts you can use for your like your paints and stuff that you can do for t-shirts or screen printing. You can definitely use those as well. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is go inside of my t-shirt. I'm gonna hang up my t-shirt, if you will, just like I was going to be putting it in the closet. All right, so there we have it. So now what we're gonna do is just kind of smooth everything out. And then we're gonna go ahead and get it down here. So I'm gonna go ahead and quickly go through here. I can just get my hands on one side and the other, and then just kind of smooth everything out. Something even as just getting your hands in there like this, shaking it out, it should help smooth everything down. All right, there we go. So we are ready to go. Now, what do we do about our sleeve? This sleeve, we're going to bleach both sides. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and protect my surface and get a piece of parchment paper underneath there, but I'm gonna be bleaching both sides of that sleeve. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take that couple pieces of parchment here, just like that. All right, so now we're ready to go. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take our cup with our bleach, and we are gonna get some bleach in our cup. Now make sure that if you're inside, you're working in a well-ventilated area, and I just poured entirely way too much bleach, but luckily I can pour it back in the jug. So I'm gonna go ahead and work with that, and then we've got our paintbrush. So here is the trick. So the way to do these shirts is sublimate first, bleach next, because you're not going to get that burning you'll get if you bleach first and then sublimate. Because if you bleach first and then sublimate, you're burning that because the fabric has already had some damage done to it, and that's where you can get those scorch marks. So to avoid those, sublimate first, bleach last, okay? So the next thing is the paintbrush. It's going to allow us to go right in line with this, so I can really outline my design here. So let me show you what I mean. So what you're gonna do is just dip your brush in your solution, and then you're just going to wipe off. So I'm really just saturating that brush to make it wet, and then we're going to wipe off the excess, just like so. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to completely outline my design. So slowly, and I'll get myself a little bit. So if you want an offset, you're just going to slow down and you're going to offset just a little bit. If you want it right on the design, you're gonna go right on the design. And you're slowly going to work yourself all the way around. So we're just gonna go ahead and continue this process. So I like to outline first and then we'll fill in the inside. Now that I've got my outline going on, I'm gonna go ahead and go in the inside. Now remember, a little goes a long way. You truly don't need a ton of this. And the real magic's gonna happen once we get outside. So if you were actually outside, you really start to see this process happen a lot faster than what you're seeing here. So you just wanna make sure you've got everything good going. So that one is ready to go. So now I'm gonna go ahead and move on. Let's go ahead and get this piece down here and then I'll come up to my sleeve. Now another thing that I also will recommend is you may wanna use some gloves. So I'm being very careful so I'm not getting it on myself, but you may wanna use some gloves as well. So now what I'm gonna do, you can see I've got some spots on here, but that's okay because we're gonna come back and do some splatters here in just a minute. So let's go ahead and move on up to that sleeve. Now for the sleeve, because I am doing front and back, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and try to be careful. I wanna stay on the sleeve and not on the t-shirt. So I'm just being very, very careful. So you also may just want to stay away from the edge here a little bit because I have found, especially if you use too much, it can bleed over to the t-shirt. So maybe just back yourself up just a little bit. So we're just gonna go ahead and go like this. So I like to get my edge first and then I'll work my way this way. Look at that cool process already happening. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and flip this over just so I can get the back side of the sleeve. Now I'm being careful because this parchment's got bleach on it. I don't wanna get it on the rest of the t-shirt. So I'm gonna be very careful. All right, so now we've got both sides. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip it back and we're gonna go ahead and get this back underneath here. So if you're not wanting any bleach on the back of your shirt, you're gonna wanna be very careful with, like I said, moving pieces around like that. So what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna go ahead and get some splatters going on. So what I do is you can either put some in a mister bottle and you can get some mist, some little spritz here and there, or you can take that paintbrush like this. Like I said, I highly recommend you do it outside and not inside, but we are gonna go ahead and just get some little splatters like this. I'm just kind of slinging it on the t-shirt. But once again, it's really fun too to get that mister bottle, the different settings like this mist, and then that straight spray, and that's where you can really get some fun stuff going on. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue to do this process. Now, if you want really big chunks, so you can see where I can control how thick or thin. So if I really saturate that brush and I come in particularly, let's just say I come into a spot right here and I really get a bunch, I can really sling a big chunk on there. So just however you want to do that, just be super, super careful. Also with the clothes that you have on, so hopefully I'm not going to ruin the t-shirt I have. So if you want to do the opposite side, we can flip it over and sling a little bit on the back. So that's what I'm going to do. But I'm actually going to take this outside now and I'm going to sling the back because I'm doing the exact same process. So I'm going to go ahead and sling that back so you guys can see so far. This is what we have. So I will be back and I'm gonna show you guys that finished piece here in just a bit. So as you guys can see how amazing this came out. It is so, so cool, the process. Like I said, highly recommend that you have your sun because the sun is really going to intensify not only the speed, the whiteness that comes out of this design. I hope you guys have enjoyed this craft. I really enjoyed crafting with you guys here on Crafty. Also, if you guys want to see me back over here on the Crafty channel, make sure you guys comment down below that you guys want to see me back. So all you have to say is I heart Crystal, or you can say bring back Crystal. Definitely let me know. You can also just put Sublimation down below and I'll know what you guys mean. Also, I would love to know, what do you guys want to see from me? So do you guys want to see sublimation crafts? Do you guys want to see a mixture? Maybe sublimation and Cricut? Just let me know what you guys want to see and we'll definitely bring it to the channel. Once again, I've enjoyed hanging out with you guys. I'll catch you guys on the next one.